What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your host for today, Simon Voyanos, aka Coach V, and we got your very first Colorado Girls High School Flag Football recap episode of the season. It is week 0 here, and it is the first week that girls high school flag football is sanctioned in the state of Colorado. And so here we go. We got your recap. We went to a number of games, 4 games on Saturday, August 17th. And by the way, it is August 20th when I'm recording this intro. And so we'll talk about those 4 games and detailed what happened there. We'll also look around the state and recap all the games that happened here in week 0. Not a whole bunch of games, but still a number that we're going to talk about here that we were not able to attend in person. But we do have some stats here and was able to piece some of what came together. On top of that, on this episode, we'll talk about Playmaker of the Week, as we do have one. And myself and Gino are going to give our takeaways, as we are not going to do power rankings this episode because we do want to see more teams play, and it's also only week 0. We'll do the same for boys football as well. No power rankings after the week 0 here and during the week 0 recap. So there you go there. Now, in case you're not familiar with girls flag football, there are some new rules that are more aligned with the rest of the country and what they're doing in Florida and Nevada, who have been doing it the longest, and so they definitely have some precedent there. But in case you don't know, a girls flag football field is almost as big as a boys field. Just, I want to say it is 40 or 20 yards less. So it's only a 100-yard field instead of a 120-yard field. Only 80 yards of non-end zone space there. Every 20 yards there is a marker, depending on where you go. So say, every drive starts with the 1st and 6, and then you go from there. If you get 7 yards, then it's 1st and 19. If you get 10 yards, then it's 1st and 16. Regardless, the spots that you got to reach stay the same depending on where you go, so it's not like the markers move with the players, but still 4 downs to get it going there. There is now punting as well. They do have to declare that they're punting, so there's that. And then on top of that, it's pretty much the same rules to football. After that, there's no field goals, obviously, and every PAT, you gotta run a play, like a non-field goal play, to go get that PAT. So it's pretty much the same there. Clockwise is very similar. I want to say 12-minute quarters, and then it really should be running clock until the last 2 minutes, but I don't know if the refs, at least at the game that we went to, that the refs knew that. And the refs were a little rough this last weekend, but I think that's to be expected, adjusting to some of these rules, as flag football is just a little bit of a different game than regular football. So there you go there. Those are the things that you kind of got to know. And this year, there's a number of teams. It's 5A and 4A. I think there's only one 4A team that played this week, and I want to say it's Pomona and maybe Thornton. I think Thornton is 4A as well. But other than that, it was all 5A teams, so there you go. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hop into the recaps of the games that we were able to attend in person. Now let's talk about the first game we went to over at Trailblazer Stadium on August 17th. That's a Saturday. Week 0, technically, is what we're going to go ahead and call it. But it was the first of 4 games at that stadium, with it being Arvada West versus Legend. Just for some context, Arvada West, the last 2 years before the sport got sanctioned, went to state the first year, and then after that would go ahead and win state in a pretty dominating way, only losing 1 game in 2 years. And then you have Legend on the other hand, last season being their first season and being a relatively successful one, as they did make the state finals after doing pretty well at regionals, and they would go to the quarterfinals, where unfortunately they would lose to a Cherry Creek team, who would go to state and lose to Arvada West. And so with all that being said, let's go ahead and talk about this matchup here in the first CHSSA sanctioned season for Colorado Girls High school flag football to start here in the first quarter. Arvada West would get the ball here, and Arvada West, the defending state champs, would begin this game with a bang here, taking a shot deep down the left sideline to number 2. That's Santana Pena here, the junior wide receiver, receiving the pass from the senior quarterback and captain of this team, Sailor Swanson, on an absolute dot down the left sideline. For a minute, it looks like she might break free, but a couple legend defenders catch up with her and track her down. But the damage is done. It's a big-time momentum swinging 25-yard pass to get it started here. 1st and 10 past midfield, approaching the red zone here. And on first down, Sailor Swanson throws a slant here to number 7, I believe. That will be the freshman Harper Tillman, who would get them in the red zone on a nice play with a lot of yards after the catch to set up a red zone trip here. 1st and 8, and on first down, Sailor Swanson checks it down to her fellow senior captain and wide receiver, Sarah Walker, who would actually be taken down for a loss here. So that would set up 2nd and 10. On this next play, Swanson in at quarterback throws the quick slant right to number 3. That is the junior Alyssa Alberts, who would get some of that yardage back here and set up a pretty manageable 3rd and 2 on about an 8-yard gain. And then on 3rd and 2, they call a pretty interesting play, an end around play to Santana Pena as she goes right, but there is nothing there, and it goes for a pretty solid loss here, setting up a 4th and 5. And so here we go. Obviously, they're going to go for it. 4th and 5 in the red zone. Sailor Swanson gets a snap, buys a lot of time running around before eventually finding number 1, Katie Hufford, the sophomore receiver, right over the middle to make it a very easy looking 6-0 to start this game. It looked like Legend had them in a tough spot in the red zone, but this play, just an excellent play made by their quarterback Sailor Swanson to redeem what looked like to be a stalling drive and get them on the board. On the PAT, they're going for 1 here, and Swanson finds Molly Shellpepper, the senior wide receiver, who would go ahead and make it 7-0 at the 8:27 mark here in the first quarter. Now, Legend, they take over with the 1st and 6, as that's where you usually start in girls flag football. And here's what happens. They have their quarterback number 18. That is junior Maddie Smolin here. She gets a snap and scrambles right for pretty much no gain, as a bunch of A West defenders snuff that out. That brings up 2nd down here. Smolin checks it down to number 1. That's, I believe, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, but that's Aislinn Corella, the senior, and she is not able to really get anything there, and actually it looks like she loses a couple yards here as she gets pulled by number 15 of Arvada West. That is Isabella Turan. Like I said, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, but a great play by number 15, the senior, to go ahead and continue to push them back here. So now that brings up 3rd and about 8. And on 3rd and 8, Legend calls an end around here to number 32, their senior wide receiver, Ava Gavi, who just doesn't get anything there, or really doesn't get much. She maybe gets a yard, but like I said, not much there. So now that brings up 4th and 7, and Legend, deciding to go aggressive here on their side of the field, decides to go for it, and they go ahead and run a play, but the rush is too much here as Maddie Smolin is sacked by number 3, Alyssa Alberts of Arvada West, and that kills that drive. And not only does it kill that drive, but it's a turnover on down, so A West starts in the red zone with a 1st and 5, only 5 yards away from scoring. And so here's what happens. Swanson, she checks it down to Hufford here for a small gain, but I believe that play is taken away by an illegal contact penalty, so that's a repeat of 1st down. And actually, it's going to be 1st and 20 because it's a penalty against A West. I believe they called it against their screen blockers there. So now it's 1st and 20. And that's pretty significant here. But on first down, they check it back down to Hufford, who gets nothing as this Legend defense begins to turn up the heat here. And so that brings up second down. And on second down, Swanson gets a snap, drops back, but she is sacked by number 16 of Legend, the senior Jocelyn Huntsman, who goes ahead and makes this situation a lot worse, making it 3rd and 25. And on this third down play, a similar thing happens, except the pressure gets there and Swanson is just able to throw this one away. So now it's 3rd down and 25 here. And sorry, actually, I should say 3rd and 20, as a penalty was thrown on Legend on that play. And so what would have been a throwaway, forcing a 4th and 25, now it's 3rd and 20 again. But on 3rd down and 20, Swanson just doesn't have a lot of time. Throws the out route to Molly Shellpepper, but it's kind of just an inaccurate throw here, as the pressure was in her face once more. And so it's incomplete. So now it's 4th down here. And obviously, there's no field goals, so A-West, they're going to go for this here. And under pressure once more, Swanson is forced to throw the out route, but obviously this is a number of yards short of the end zone, so that pretty much goes nowhere and is stopped short, as Legend does a good job on defense there, making do with a pretty difficult situation. But regardless, it's a turnover on downs. Legend, though, their offense starting in a pretty dangerous spot. It is 1st and 2 here with about 2 minutes and 13 seconds left in the first when they take over, kind of backed up into their own end zone. And here's what happens. They go ahead and toss it left. Someone else got the snap, but it's tossed left to 18, their quarterback Maddie Smolin, who is just able to get the first down here and actually rips off a pretty nice gain here as she gets close to midfield. So 1st and 4 following a big time play by Maddie Smolin. But then the following play is stopped for a loss. Number 3, Alyssa Alberts pulling the flag there. After that, on the next play, Legend would be called for a penalty, so that continues to move them back. That would be, I believe, a repeat of 2nd down. And then once they run that 2nd down play again, it's just a throwaway. So that brings up 3rd and 12 here. And so on 3rd and 12, obviously Legend, they got to throw this. And so here's what happens. Maddie Smolin gets a snap and she throws it. I don't know if there's a miscommunication or what, but there really wasn't a receiver breaking into that open space. It could have also just been a throwaway, but number 7, Harper Tillman, the freshman for Arvada West, makes an excellent all-hands catch, plucking it right before it drops to the ground here. And so that's an interception for A West. She's not able to return it to the house here, but still a pretty solid return, as Legend once more continues to struggle on offense. At this point, there's about 11 seconds left here. Arvada West, they are trying to call play, but unfortunately, it just comes too late. They get called for a delay of game. So what was a 1st and 19, I believe, in the red zone, now is a 1st and 24, still in the red zone. So that means they have to score. And there's no first down chance here. But weirdly enough, I guess the clock just runs out, which is interesting because I think if there's a penalty like that, then the clock definitely shouldn't. But, you know, first time refs, I guess. And so here we go. 2nd quarter, 1st and 24, technically still in the red zone, or 1st and goal, really. And here's what happens on 1st down. Sailor Swanson scrambles the left, gets a lot of yards here, about 14, to make it a manageable 2nd and 10. Following that, on 2nd down, Swanson gets the snap, but throws an incompletion. Thanks to the pressure by Legend, still in her face and showing her a couple different looks here. So now that brings up 3rd down, and on this down, Swanson throws a slant to Sarah Walker here, or at least intended for Sarah Walker, but it is knocked down by number 20, Callie Lewis, the senior DB for them. And so now that brings up 4th down, and here is what happens. They go ahead and put Walker in motion, going from right to left into the slot, and then she basically just runs a corner route. Swanson makes a perfect throw here on the money. Great timing for a touchdown to Walker right over the heads of the DB. Just a great play here by these two. And so that would go ahead and put up Arvada West 13-0 with 9:40 left. On the PAT, there's a great rush here, but Swanson, she's able to get the ball out, throw the check down. Obviously, that player is pulled pretty short, as it was a very short of the PAT, and I believe it was number 17 for Legend, Raya Matouche, I want to say. Excuse me if I'm saying wrong. The sophomore who was able to get that play, keeping it at 13-0. Now, Legend to get the ball here, 9:35 left here. An illegal contact penalty on the first play would make it 1st and 15. This was against the blocker, the utility player here. Then on this next play, Smolin would try to scramble here, but would be taken down for a loss, now making it 2nd and 16. On 2nd down, Smolin tries to scramble left, just trying to avoid the safety at this point as she's backed up into her own end zone, and gets a couple of yards, not too many though. It's 3rd and 14 now, and or I should say, sorry, 3rd and 16, as she was able to just get back to the line of scrimmage here. And on 3rd down, Smolin tries to buy time, but unfortunately her flag is pulled by number 11 of Arvada West, Lily McReynolds, who gets her for the safety to go ahead and put A West up 15-0. About less than 7 minutes left here in the first half when they get the ball back after the punt, that is. And so here's what happens. Swanson scrambles for 15 on 1st down, but an illegal contact penalty against A West, I believe, would make it now 1st and 16. And on 1st down, again, Swanson checks it down to number 3, Alyssa Alberts, who spins and makes it a more manageable 2nd and 2 after a nice play after the catch there. But unfortunately, before they could run their next play on 2nd down, there's a false start, so now it's 2nd and 7. On 2nd down, they snap the ball. It's great coverage here by number 17 of Legend, who is one-on-one. That's Ryan Matouche, who's one-on-one with Sarah Walker here. And they try to throw the corner once more to Walker on 2nd down, but Ryan Matouche is there and just makes a great play in 101 to force a 3rd and 7. And then on 3rd and 7, Swanson gets the ball out before the rush gets there, but the pass is dropped. And so now it's 4th and 7, and Arvada West decides to punt it. A rare 3 and out for the squad. And so Legend takes over with a 1st and 10 just past midfield here with about 2 minutes 20 seconds left here in the first half. But an offsides on the defense is what they say and is called. And so now it's 1st and 5 here. But on 1st down, Smolin gets a snap and tries to throw it, but number 14 of Arvada West, the other freshman here for them, Emerson Drake, almost picks this one off as she jumps the route. It's incomplete though, so that brings up 2nd down. Unfortunately for Legend though, it's a low snap, and so the ball hits the ground. Of course, in girls flag football, there are no fumbles. If the ball hits the ground on a snap or is fumbled, then it's just a dead ball wherever it landed. So that's a loss there. So that sets up a 3rd and 8. But then there's an offsides penalty called on A West. So now it's 3rd and 3 again. And so here's what happens on 3rd down. Finally here, Maddie Smolin checks it down to number 5 here. That would be Madison Williams, the senior, who goes ahead and makes it a relatively manageable 4th down situation. It's basically 4th and inches, as she was just stopped short. And so here's what Legend does on 4th and inches. They have a very interesting formation. They have a bunch of their players that are on the field, at least 4 of them on one side, with their quarterback behind those 4, and then they obviously have their center and their running back there as well. And it's a direct snap to the left to the quarterback, who then tries to throw it to the check down here, but it is too low and incomplete. A very creative play, and if it was on the money, it probably would have been a 1st down in the red zone. I believe it would have been their first red zone trip of the game, but it's incomplete, so it's a turnover on downs. A West gets the ball with about a minute left, but they're not able to do too much here on 3rd down after a penalty, I believe. Jocelyn Huntsman gets her 2nd sack of the game, and so that forces a 4th and long, and they basically punt it. Legend does get the ball with about 36 seconds left. This offense is just continuing to struggle here, couple end arounds go for a loss. Runs, I mean, it's all runs that go for either a loss or no gain. And so it stays at 15-0 at half. Now, in the third quarter, Legend would get the ball here, and a little bit of controversy on the first play. They would snap it, and the ball was too low, and so right when it hit the ground, it should have been called dead right there. But the refs let it go, and the play develops, and it ends up with Smolin throwing a pretty tough pick to Molly Shellpepper of Arvada West. The refs talk about it for a while here, and while it's obvious that they made a mistake and that the play should have been called down, it was called a pick at the end, or the end result was a pick, and so the refs stick with that, interesting enough. And so now it's 1st and 7 for A West in the red zone with, it's basically the beginning of the third quarter here. They're not able to get too much going as the first down's an incompletion. Second down ended up being a sack by Zoe Matherly, the junior from Legend. So that makes it a very long 3rd and 17 here. You can never count out this A West offense, as on 3rd and long, Sailor Swanson gets a snap, anticipates this one, and throws it deep to the corner once more to Sarah Walker, who's in 1-on-1, and she rises up and makes a play, catching the ball, and makes this game a 21-0 game. A West taking a very dominant lead here. Just a tough play for Legend, who, honestly had the right defense, but the DB was just slightly out of position. And Swanson threw a great throw while under pressure in rhythm, and Walker just rose up and made a play. That's a tough player to guard there in 1-on-1. And so that makes it 21-0. The PAT, unfortunately, is dropped, but still, A West has a pretty dominant 21-0 lead. Next drive for Legend would not be promising or any better than what they've had before, as it would start with an end around to number 32. That would be Ava Gavi here, but she would be stopped for a pretty big loss by number 15, Isabella Taryn, the senior. And so that would really set this whole thing back. They would go throw a slant to Gavi, who wouldn't go anywhere, and they would attempt a hook and ladder, but it just wasn't executed quite right here, and so it would be stopped for a loss here by Sarah Walker. And so that would force a 3-and-out and a punt. A West, they would go ahead and get the ball with about 5:18 left, 1st and 6 here. Here's what happens. Sailor Swanson drops back, throws the post here, but unfortunately it is dropped. Then she throws the slant on 2nd down. That is also dropped. And so that brings up 3rd down, still 3rd and 6. Sailor Swanson gets a snap, runs around avoiding the rush here, and eventually finds Sarah Walker, who makes a tough catch, a physical catch, but is stopped just short. So now it's 4th and 1. But actually there would be a penalty thrown on that play, I believe, if I wasn't mistaken. And so now that would make it 1st and 15 in the red zone for A West. On 1st down, it would end up being an incomplete pass, but they would call a roughing the passer penalty against Legend. So it's a repeat of 1st down, but now on the 10 here, they would go ahead and try and end around to number 2. That would be Santana Pena, who would get just barely a yard, setting up a 2nd and 9. On 2nd down, it would be an incomplete pass, so now that brings 3rd down. And on 3rd and 9, Sailor Swanson scrambles and runs it in to make it 4 touchdowns on the day for her, or so it seemed, as it looked like she got in. I believe they signaled it, but at the same time the quarter was ending, and so they were switching sides, and I guess during that time the refs talked and said that's not a touchdown, which is interesting once more. And so now it's 4th and 1, but it pretty much doesn't matter. Sailor Swanson will just throw it over the middle, and it gets tipped up in the air here and just caught by Alyssa Alberts. Kind of a lucky play, but it was just one of those days for Arvada West and Legend here, as A West goes up 27-0 right at the beginning of the 4th quarter. Following that on the PAT, Swanson throws the out route to Walker to make it 28-0, as this game would pretty much be over. At the 8:45 mark, Sailor Swanson would find Santana Pena deep for a 40-yard touchdown pass here. And then the slant, she would find her on the slant as well on the PAT to make it 35-0, as this game would be over. Arvada West taking care of Legend 35-0, having an offensive explosion here in the second half. Player of the game, I gotta go with Sarah Walker. I think it could have also been Sailor Swanson, but Walker made 2 big touchdown catches that really got this offense going here. She made some tough catches, throughout this game as well. And then defensively, I mean, she was just a presence. All those end arounds that Legend tried to run, and just runs and hook and ladders in general, and short passes just weren't going anywhere thanks to Walker here. And this defense, who played very well, just very crisp flag pulling as they get a nice win to begin their season. Legend, on the other hand, just a tough go. Defensively, I felt like they were pretty solid. There may be some things they could have tweaked here and there, some plays I'm sure they wanted back, but at the end of the day, I felt like they were on the field a lot for a lot of this game. And they really got after Sailor Swanson. She didn't exactly play her best game here. Threw a couple incompletions, took some sacks. I believe she had a pick as well, or maybe that was erased by a roughing the passer penalty, actually. So I guess technically she didn't. But, they were making it pretty difficult for the most part. It's just tough when your offense can't get going, as they really struggled here. Tried to run the ball against this AWS team, and honestly, it was just the wrong game plan for the day here. And when they did try to pass it, it just wasn't exactly there. I mean, they're already down a couple of scores, so there's a lot of pressure. It's the first game of the season. They just had a lot working against them by the time they tried to pass the ball here, and even then, they just weren't able to get much going, as they were just very cold to start this game here and to start the season. But, like I said, if you're Legend, I think there are some things you could definitely take away from it. At this point, I mean, they had another game right after this, which we'll talk about here in a minute, so you couldn't even dwell on the pass here, with that being this A West game. So there you go there. For Arvada West to get their first win of the season and of the day, as they will play later on here against a very tough Mountain Vista team.
What is good, y'all? This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I am very excited to recap one of the first ever sanctioned high school girls flag football games in Colorado history. This has been a long time coming, and all of us here at the podcast couldn't be more excited to give you all the scoop each and every week of the season as your go-to source for all things flag football and, of course, tackle football as well. In this recap here, we will be going over what went down in the game between the 5A Legend Titans and the 4A Pomona Panthers from this past Saturday, August the 17th. These are two teams that could definitely be contenders in their respective classifications, so this was going to be a good game regardless. Now, this is a matchup that ended very close, so let's not waste any more time and jump right into this recap. Starting off the game here, it will be Legend ball, 1st and 6. On first down, we got the receiver, Ava Gavi. Sorry if I mispronounced that there. And if I mispronounce any names, make sure to reach out to the podcast on Instagram and just let us know on how to pronounce it. But anyways, on first down here, we got Ava Gavi, who catches the short pass from the QB, number 18, Maddie Smolin, and pitches it to Reese Agnew on the hook and ladder, and Agnew takes that for a first down and nice gain. On 1st and 10 here, it is a check down to Ava Gavi for no gain, and then an end around to Gavi once again, who gets the first down here across midfield. On 1st and 16, we got a dangerous pass here from Maddie Smolin over the middle under pressure, and it is nearly picked off here by Jay Cordova to make it 2nd and 16. On second down, Luana Cordova knocks down a short pass, but an illegal block penalty on the offense makes it 2nd and 26. On second down and long, a toss to Reese Agnew goes for a big gain here to get those yards back to make it 3rd and 5 near the red zone. On third down, Maddie Smolin avoids the sack and keeps it right for a first down in the red zone to make it 1st and 19. Legend rolling here on their first drive of the game. On first down, a short pass over the middle goes to Ashley Howelberg. Sorry if I mispronounced that there. And that goes for 5 yards. Follow that up with Maddie Smolin, who goes through her progressions with great blocking in front of her, but that throw ends up incomplete here. It will be 3rd and 14 following that incompletion. On third down now, Timberly Martinez for Pomona tracks down a scrambling Maddie Smolin for the sack to make it 4th and 20 here. Obviously, Legend will be going for it here as Ava Gavi catches the short pass and pitches it to Reese Agnew on the hook and ladder. And Agnew is just barely short of the goal line as Jay Cordova gets that last second flagpole. It will be a turnover on downs here for the Legend offense. Yeah, that hook and ladder was working really nicely on that first drive for the Titans, but they were just unable to get any points there. It will be Pomona ball now, 1st and 19 near the Legend goal line. Now, unfortunately for the Panthers, they would end up punting the ball here, and we had Jocelyn Huntsman making some big-time plays here to shut down that drive. That is not the last time you will be hearing that name in this recap. But here we go now. Aislinn Corella of the Legend Titans takes that punt across midfield to make it 1st and 1 after an illegal participation flag pushes Legend up 10 yards here. On 1st and 1, Maddie Smolin keeps it for the first down, and that will put the Titans in the red zone for the second drive in a row here to start off the game. 1st and 15 here, Smolin checks it down to Ashley Howelberg over the middle for 5 yards, and follow that up on the next play here. Maddie Smolin launches one to the end zone under heavy pressure, and it is picked off by Laurel Elliott of the Pomona Panthers to give Pomona the ball back here and give them a chance to take the lead. It is 1st and 1 for Pomona following the pick from Elliott, and it is still a 0-0 game. On first down, a short pass to Emily Abeda goes for a nice gain to give the Panthers 1st and 10 here. The first down pass was incomplete. And then on second down here, Jay Cordova avoids the sack and uses her agility to avoid several flagpoles here to give them a first down across midfield. Cordova using that dual threat ability here early on in the game. On first down here, a check down to Laurel Elliott goes for 9 yards. And that will be the end of the first quarter here. The score is still 0-0 in this one. Starting off the second quarter here, it is 2nd and 5 for Pomona near the red zone. On second down, Jay Cordova keeps it, and she will scramble across the first down line, and that will be a first down in the red zone here for Pomona. On 1st and 17, there was a false start, so it will actually be 1st and 22 to start off here. On first down, Cordova scrambles for a yard. And then on second down, pressure from Jocelyn Huntsman forces an incomplete pass short. And that will be 3rd and 21 here as Pomona calls timeout with 10-12 left in the second quarter. On third down, Jay Cordova launches one over the middle, and it is nearly picked off by the safety, Rhea Matouche. Sorry once again if I mispronounced that one. It will be 4th and 22 as the Panthers prepare to go for it here. On fourth down, a pass to the sideline intended for Emily Abeda falls incomplete. I absolutely love the idea here from Cordova on that throw to the sideline, and it was almost a great play, but it still would have been short of the touchdown, so it will be a turnover on downs here nonetheless. It will be 1st and 5 for Legend to start off their drive here. On first down, Timberly Martinez makes a crazy play, and she dives for that flagpole for her second sack of the first half here to make it 2nd and 10. On second down, Ashley Howelberg makes her third catch of the game here over the middle to make it 3rd and 3. On third down, a sweep to Ava Gavi goes for the first down to make it 1st and 17. On 1st and 17 here, a short pass over the middle to Ashley Howelberg goes over her head, and it will be picked off by Alora Martinez to put Pomona near the red zone here, 1st and 1. On first down, it is a slant to Avery Moran, who makes that 1st and 9 in the red zone. On first down, a check down to Timberly Martinez goes for 4 yards, and then an incomplete pass on second down makes it 3rd and 5. The Pomona offense will follow that up with a false start penalty here to make it 3rd and 10. On third down here, Jay Cordova keeps it, and she reaches out for the end zone, but she is just barely short of the end zone. It will be 4th and less than a yard here for Pomona. On 4th and 1, Cordova finds a receiver in the back of the end zone, but she catches it just barely out of bounds here, folks. That will be yet another turnover on downs in the red zone. It is now 1st and 19 here for Legend, right up on that Pomona end zone. On first down, it is yet another hook and ladder to Reese Agnew as she takes off and goes about 65 yards for a first down in the red zone here for Legend. The Titans finally showing some real life on offense here as they get their biggest play of the day so far to put them in the red zone for the 3rd time in this game. Let's see if they can finally take advantage. It is a dropped snap on the first snap, so that will bring them back a few yards. And then a short pass here from Maddie Smolin makes it 3rd and 17 to get those yards back. On 3rd and 17, Maddie Smolin rolls out left as Alora Martinez makes an amazing diving flagpole to make that 4th and 15 here, and it will be yet another long try for the Titans offense to try and score here. On 4th down, Smolin is flushed out left and makes an absolutely insane Derek Jeter jumping throw across her body, and that ball is just barely dropped. That, folks, would have been the highlight of the day had it been made, but that play really just showed the type of athleticism that Maddie Smolin possesses. But anyway, it will still be a turnover on downs in the waning seconds of the first half. It is 1st and 3 here as Jay Cordova scrambles for a first down to make it 1st and 15 for Pomona, and they will call timeout here with 21 seconds left. Following the timeout, Legend sends 3 rushers here as Janine Norton gets the sack for the Titans, and that, folks, will send us into halftime as this game is still 0-0 as we go to the break. Coming out of halftime here, it will be Pomona ball, and it is actually Timberly Martinez in at QB for Pomona as she will start the second half here as she rolls out right on first down, but that pass falls incomplete. It will be 2nd and 6. And then an illegal blocking penalty on the next play makes it 2nd and 11. And then a low snap makes it 3rd and 16. And then yet another penalty. It will be 3rd and 18 here for Pomona. On 3rd and long, Timberly Martinez is flushed out right, and her pass falls incomplete. So it will be 4th and 18 as the Panthers will be forced to punt it here. 1st and 9 for Legend following the punt. A quick pass on first down goes to Reese Agnew to make it 2nd and 1, and then a pass over the middle goes incomplete, followed by a false start, so it will be 3rd and 6 here as Maddie Smolin finds Ava Gavi off platform for 5 yards, and it will be 4th and inches here. On 4th down, Legend decides to go for it here. A short pass to Aislinn Corella gets them the first down, plus you throw in illegal contact on the Pomona defense. This was a questionable call, though, however, as it looked like the receiver just kind of straight up trucked the defender, but it will still be 1st and 9 here for the Titans nonetheless. On first down, a keeper left. It goes for 3 yards, followed by a dangerous incomplete pass to make it 3rd and 6 here. On third down, Maddie Smolin drops back and floats a perfect ball in the back of the end zone to Ava Gavi for the Titans touchdown, and that is their first one of the season, and that is a big one here to give them the 6-0 lead here with 6:03 left in the third quarter. For the extra point, they would toss it to Reese Agnew, who lobs it up to Noel Ho, who mosses 2 defenders for the extra point, and that will give Legend a 7-0 lead here in the game. Following the score, it is Pomona ball here, but they would actually end up punting it as Zoe Matherly and Jocelyn Huntsman were just dogs on that drive, getting some really good pressure there on Jay Cordova to force the punt. Following the punt, it is Legend ball, but they would end up turning the ball over on downs here as the Pomona defense is preparing to get back in this game. Unfortunately, though, they would end up punting as well, as they just can't get the ball in the end zone, and that seems to be a problem for both sides here as we head into the fourth quarter with Legend leading here 7-0. Let's go ahead and see what happens in the rest of this game. Starting off the fourth quarter here, it will be a punt as Legend takes this one. It will be 1st and 18 near their own goal line. On first down, Maddie Smolin keeps it for 8 yards, and then an injury timeout here with 10:36 left in the game. Following the injury timeout, a direct snap goes to Maddie Smolin as she rolls out and goes just short of the first down here. It will be 3rd and 1 for the Titans. On third down, a pass over the middle goes to Ava Gavi for the first down, and that will be 1st and 11 here. On first down, a sweep to Ava Gavi gets shut down by Alora Martinez for a loss of 1 yard, and you follow that up with Timberly Martinez getting a big-time sack here to make it 3rd and 20-something. It was a big-time loss, that's all we really know. And then on 3rd and very long, it is Timberly Martinez again as she continues to show off her defensive prowess and quickness as she gets another huge-time sack here to force a punt and give Pomona another chance to tie this game up. That is Martinez's, I want to say, 4th sack in this game. She is really playing amazing in this one. Following the punt, it will be 1st and 3, just short of midfield here for the Pomona Panthers. Let's go ahead and see if they can tie this one up finally. On first down, it is Jay Cordova who keeps it across midfield as she is stopped by Janine Norton right at midfield, but it is still a first down. 1st and 20 here for Pomona. On first down, a short pass to Alora Martinez as she has open field ahead of her, and she will take that into the red zone. It is 1st and 20 for Pomona as they have yet another prime opportunity here to score and tie this game. The first down pass is dropped, and then it is Zoe Matherly who uses her long reach for a big-time sack here to make it 3rd and 25, and it just makes it that much tough for Pomona to try and tie this game here. On third down, Ava Gavi shows off her defensive prowess as she makes a nice read in the secondary to swat down a deep pass, and it will be 4th and 25 for the Pomona offense. On fourth down, this could be the game, folks. Janine Norton makes a diving flagpole before the scramble at the line of scrimmage, and that will put this game away here with 3:03 left in the fourth quarter as the Legend Titans shut down Pomona 7-0, and that will be their first win of the season. And that about does it for this recap, folks. That was a dogfight until the very end as Legend comes out of the first set of games of the season 1-1. I will now catch you all a little later in this episode where I will be going over some of my thoughts from the games on Saturday and the teams we saw this weekend. Peace out.
All right, now let me go ahead and talk about this fantastic game between Arvada West and Mountain Vista on August 17th. That's a Saturday, week 0 here. This really was a fantastic game that arguably was the best game of the week and one of the best games to start the season here that we have ever been to in all our years that we've done the podcast. So a lot of good things definitely happened here, but let's talk about each of the teams. Arvada West here, obviously winning state the year before. Earlier today, or in that day, that is, they beat Legend by a pretty good amount here. For Mountain Vista, this is their second year as a program. I have a lot of studs and great players on that squad over there. You know, that was the same squad that made it to the state final, last year. So that's definitely big time there. But let's go ahead and talk about this game and what happened in this week 0 matchup to start 2024. In the first quarter, Mountain Vista starts with the football here. Here's what happens. On the first play, their quarterback number 8, their junior quarterback, Ariana Aki, she went ahead and found Braylon Looney for a couple yards, setting up a solid second down. Following that, their quarterback once more gets a snap on second and cuts it upfield and gets a pretty solid chunk here scrambling to go ahead and give them a 1st and 15 situation as they approach midfield. On first down, Aki goes ahead and throws it to number 13. That's the senior Emily Savensky here, who makes a nice solid catch here for about 5. Then that sets up 2nd and 9, by the way. And then after that, Aki throws the hitch to Braylon Looney to make it 3rd and 6 on a short gain. And then on 3rd down, the Mountain Vista quarterback gets a snap and throws it over the middle to number 12. That is a senior wide receiver, Serena Reeder here, who goes ahead and gives them a solid gain here of about 2, not too much here. She was just trying to get the ball out. So that brings up a 4th and 4. And on 4th down, approaching midfield, Mountain Vista's going to go for it. And on 4th down, their quarterback drops back and throws it right up the seam here to number 1, Riley Rivera, the senior wide receiver, who makes a pretty big play here, getting the 4th down conversion. So now they're past midfield, and it actually went for 25. It's 1st and 17 in the red zone. First one for Mountain Vista this season and of the day. And here we go. Aki goes ahead and rolls right and lofts one to the back of the end zone looking for a receiver, but it is incomplete. That sets up 2nd down here, where the pressure almost gets there, and she checks it down to Serena Reeder to go ahead and make it 3rd and 12. On 3rd down, it's another check down pass, this time to Emily Savensky to inch them forward here. 4th and 5, as they are still in the red zone, only 5 yards away from scoring. But on 4th and 5, Arvada West's defense steps up here, and they get a huge sack here. It would be number 3, Alyssa Alberts, getting a sack that would first force a turnover on downs. And so Arvada West would take over with a 1st down with about 8:19 left. To start this drive, Sailor Swanson in at quarterback completes a nice little shuffle pass, it looks like, to Santana Pena, who goes ahead and gives them a 1st down, about 1st and 9 approaching midfield. This was a pretty big play, a lot of yards after the catch here. Following that, on 1st down, Sailor, she scrambles left, gets about 5 yards here, making it 2nd and 4. On 2nd down, Swanson, with no rusher, a lot of time in the pocket, eventually throws one over the middle on a dig, it looks like, to Alyssa Alberts to make it a nice 1st and 8 past midfield as A West is rolling. On 1st down here, Sailor Swanson then scrambles right and gets close to the 1st down. It's basically 2nd and inches here. And so on 2nd down, A West here with the ball. Swanson throws the drag route to Katie Hufford, who goes ahead and makes a lot happen after the catch here and gets them that 1st down. It's now 1st and 9 in the red zone. On 1st down, though, there's an incomplete pass. On 2nd down, Swanson rolls out, then cuts back, and then just buys a lot of time, goes almost all the way right here before throwing across her body left into the flats, finding a wide open Katie Hufford, who walks it in for the score to make it 6-0 with about 2:40 left in the first quarter. On the PAT, Sailor Swanson finds Sarah Walker in the back of the end zone to make it 7-0. Now Mountain Vista, they take over with the 1st down here with about 2:40 I think 2:49 after they adjusted the clock here left, and they do call a timeout, I want to say, right before this drive. When they walk back out there, Mountain Vista has a play ready, and so here we go. They go ahead and snap it to their quarterback, Ariana Aki, and she drops back, cuts up field, and then goes left and goes 76 yards to the house, burning this defense just a little bit here to go ahead and respond back just like that, as Mountain Vista gets a huge touchdown to swing the momentum back in their favor. On the PAT, it's a handoff and end around to Serena Reader here, but it goes nowhere. So A-West is still up at the end of this, but a huge splash play made by their quarterback, Ariana Aki, who just avoided the entire defense and outran all of them to go ahead and pull this one within one. And so A-West, they take over with under 3 minutes left here, looking to respond, and here's what happens. Sailor Swanson finds Sarah Walker on the slant, who spins outside for a couple yards. That's good enough for a first down, a 1st and 17 to be specific. Swanson then goes back to Walker, but it only goes for 2 yards on the drag route. Then on 2nd down, Sailor gets a snap, backpedals before throwing the check down to number 12 here. That would be Danica Rodriguez-Gonzalez, but that would unfortunately be for a loss, as the Mountain Vista defense is playing very well and flag pulling very well. So now it's 3rd and 20 here. And then on 3rd down, Sailor Swanson gets a snap, backpedaling and buying time. She eventually throws one to Sarah Walker for a solid gain, but she is a couple yards short here. So that would be the end of the first quarter. To start the second quarter, it would be 4th and 8 as Arvada West approaches midfield, and they decide to go for it. But unfortunately, on 4th and 8, it's just a bad snap, goes over the head. So now it's a turnover on downs, as Mountain Vista actually starts with the 1st and 20 in the red zone because of how bad the snap, or how far the snap went, I should say, with about 11:57 left. On 1st down here, Aki throws a slant, an absolute missile here, by the way, to Braylon Looney, who brings this one in, making it 2nd and 10. But then on 2nd down, Alyssa Alberts gets a huge sack to make it 3rd and 12 here. On 3rd down, Aki throws the slant to number 1, that's Riley Rivera, but she's not able to break free here. So now it's 4th down and 8, and obviously Mountain Vista is going to go for it here. And Aki tries to throw to Braylon Looney on the slant in the late window, but it is not able to be brought in. So now that's a turnover on downs. A-West takes over, avoiding potential disaster there, as they still have the lead with 10:43 left. It's 1st and 14. On 1st down, it's an incompletion. On 2nd down, Sailor Swanson decides to bail here and gets a couple yards, only 3, so now it's 3rd and 11. On a key 3rd down here, Swanson goes ahead and makes a great play. She gets a snap, jab steps real quick, causes the rusher to trip up just a little bit, and the rusher, I believe, is Braylon Looney, but she recovers well as Swanson tries to roll out right with Looney hot on her heels, and Swanson throws it off her back foot to Sarah Walker near the sideline. A great throw, threading the needle here as the defense was there, and Walker making a physical catch to go ahead and bail them out of a tough situation. So now it's 1st down and 19 after that great play. Following that, Swanson throws a slant to Molly Shellpepper, who makes it 2nd and 15, but then 3rd down is a drop. Following that 3rd down, they take a shot to Walker here, but it is well covered. So that brings up 4th down, and Arvada West decides to punt it. And so Mountain Vista starts with a 1st and 10, approaching midfield with just under 6 minutes left. And here's what happens. Aki throws the drag to number 1, Riley Rivera, who makes it a nice 2nd and 12 here, losing some yards here actually there. Then on 2nd down, Aki avoids the sack, and throws to Rivera on the curl. That would be good enough for a 1st down just past the midfield. So now it's 1st and 20. And then following that, it's 1st down here. Aki feels the pressure, avoids the rush, and throws the comeback route here to Liana Rivera, number 3, to make it a relatively solid 2nd and 16 situation here. On 2nd down, Aki drops back, takes a shot deep, but unfortunately, it looks like there's some miscommunication with her and the receiver, as the receiver just didn't quite finish running that route, so now that's incomplete. That brings up third down here, and Aki just scrambles left, gets as many yards as she could to set up a manageable 4th and 9. Mountain Vista decides to take a timeout at the 3:24 spot to go ahead and talk about it, and then here we go. 4th down and 9. Arvada West looking to continue to defend their lead here, while Mountain Vista wanting to get on the board and take the lead. Big one right here. So on 4th down, Aki gets a snap, drops back, fading away, avoiding the pressure, and throws it off her back foot and finds number 1 Riley Rivera in stride on the post route, who brings it in. The defender pulls her flag right away, but the damage is done. This was a perfect pass off the back foot of Ariana Aki, right on the money to number 1 Riley Rivera, who made a nice over-the-shoulder catch. That would be good enough to give them a first down in the red zone. Actually, 1st and 5 here, as Mountain Vista is looking to score. Now, first down's an incompletion, but on 2nd down, Aki rolls right and eventually finds number 2, I believe that's Addison Devlin, just alone in the red zone to take the 12-7 lead for Mountain Vista. PET's no good, but Mountain Vista will take that lead as they give the ball back to A West with a couple of minutes left here, just under 3 minutes, I believe. So here we go. A West looking to maybe take the lead right before half. Swanson finds Alyssa Alberts, who gets the first down on the slant. Following that, it's first again here. Swanson finds Alberts again for a solid gain. This time, this play goes past midfield. Another consecutive first down. Now it's 1st and about 20 with 1:46 left. On 1st down here, Sailor Swanson scrambles for about 15 yards, makes it 2nd and 5. On 2nd down, Swanson scrambles again, this time right up the middle to make it 3rd and inches, almost getting that first down. A West calls a timeout here, the second of the half, as they want to talk about this. Out of the timeout, Swanson throws the check down to Alexis Mays here, who does eventually end up getting that first down, putting them in the red zone there. Now that A West is in the red zone, it is 1st and 17. On 1st down, Swanson takes a shot downfield, but it is knocked away. Almost caught off the tip pass by an Arvada West receiver, but it falls pretty much harmless. So now it's 2nd down here. On 2nd, Swanson, with all the time in the world, no rusher here by Mountain Vista, ends up taking a shot into the end zone, but it is incomplete. That sets up another 3rd down. On 3rd down, Swanson, with no pressure as well, again, tries to put one in the end zone, but it is incomplete. So now it's 4th and 17. Now on 4th down, they would end up running the play, but they would call a roughing the passer here, which would give Arvada West another chance at a score. So now it's 4th and 9. A timeout is called by Mountain Vista right before this play, but during this play, here's what happens. Swanson gets a snap, rolls left, and throws it, but it is incomplete as this Mountain Vista defense stands tall and goes into the half with a 12-7 lead. Now, 3rd quarter here, Arvada West starts with the ball here. 1st down is an incompletion, but 2nd down here, Swanson throws a slant to Walker, who powers through the coverage to make it a very manageable 3rd and inches. On 3rd down, though, Swanson finds Santana Pena to make it 1st and 15. On 1st down, Swanson gets the snap, rolls left, and cuts it upfield, scrambling here to get a nice 10-yard gain. And then on 2nd, Swanson throws the spot route to Molly Shellpepper to give them a first down past midfield as this A West offense is rolling. Now, it's 1st and 20, and there's a weird inadvertent whistle. I don't know why they called it down during this play, but they did, and so they go ahead and they replay it here. Or allegedly they replayed it, but I guess the marker still said 2nd down. On this next play, it's incompletion. They talk again, they get it correct. So now it's actually 2nd down here. And so here's what happens. On 2nd down, Swanson throws the drag to Katie Hufford. She gets about 8 yards, setting up 3rd and 11. But an offsides penalty on A West would then make that a 3rd and 16. On third down and 16, Mountain Vista brings some pressure here, and Swanson is forced to check it down to Katie Hufford here. But unfortunately, it looks like that there is a unsportsmanlike conduct or something like that thrown against Mountain Vista. So now it's 3rd and 3. On third down here and 3, Swanson throws the short pass, but it is dropped, so it brings up 4th down. And then on 4th down, Swanson gets the snap, throws the slant here, but it is knocked away. Just great defense by Riley Rivera of Mountain Vista. That forces a turnover on downs and preserves this lead as they take over with about 5:30 left, 1st and 18 as they approach midfield. On first down, Ariana Aki rolls out and finds number 3. That's Liana Rivera. That goes for 14. On second, she then finds Braylon Looney on the drag to make it first down past midfield and some as well. 1st and 14 there. On first down, Aki finds Looney again. She gets about 4 yards there. Second down there, it's a throwaway, so it's incomplete. 3rd and 10 here, Aki gets a snap, throws the drag route over the middle to Looney. She gets some good yards, but is stopped just short. Now it's 4th and 4. Obviously, Mountain Vista is going to go for it being across midfield. On 4th down, they run an out route here to Riley Rivera, and Aki throws it on the money. Great timing here to put them in the red zone. Now it's 1st and 17 as Mountain Vista looking to go up by 2 scores here. 1st down and 17, Aki scrambles right, gets about 7 yards. That sets up 2nd and 10. On 2nd and 10, Aki throws a pretty dangerous pass that is almost intercepted, but it's not. But there is a penalty thrown on this play, roughing the passer here. So that's an automatic 1st down and 5 for Mountain Vista. On 1st down, though, the drive starts, or I guess this red zone look here starts a little rough as Alex Anto, the sophomore, gets a huge sack here, number 9 of A West, to now make it 2nd and 12. On 2nd down here, Aki runs around looking for a receiver. It ends up throwing it to the back of the end zone, but unfortunately this pass is just out of bounds, so that just sets up a 3rd down situation. But on 3rd down, it's a quick pass and it's too low, so it's incomplete. Mountain Vista goes into the 4th quarter with what looks like to be a 4th and 12 in the red zone, and here's what happens. On 4th and 12, Ariana Aki takes the snap, rolls right, and puts a pass into the end zone, but it is knocked away. Unfortunately for Arvada West, they call PI on A West, and so Mountain Vista repeats 4th down half the distance there, and here is what happens. Ariana Aki gets a snap, throws it right over the middle to number 1, Riley Rivera, who's wide open as she gets the touchdown to make it 18-7 with 11:43 left. On the PAT, it's a designed quarterback run, and Aki takes it in, winning to the corner, just outrunning the defenders to go ahead and make it 19-7, a 12-point game with about 11:43 left for A West. Now, Arvada West is not out of it, but they do got a score here. Here's what happens. Sailor Swanson gets a snap, throws it to number 4, Alexis Mays. She gets a couple, setting up 2nd and 3. Following that, she throws the drag here to Katie Hufford. That would be good enough to give them a 1st down of 1st and 19. On 1st down, Swanson gets a snap, drops back, looking deep, throws the post to Molly Showpepper as she almost breaks loose here, but only gets about 15-16 yards. So now it's 2nd and 4. On 2nd and 4, Swanson throws the dig to old reliable Sarah Walker. She gets them the 1st down with a nice physical catch to make it 1st and 10 as they passed midfield. On 1st and 10, Swanson throws the drag to Katie Hufford, who makes some people miss and gets about 15 yards. That would be good enough to put them in the red zone with a 1st and 19 situation. On 1st and 19, Swanson tries to throw the out route, just trying to get closer, but it's a low pass, so it's incomplete. Following that, on 2nd down, it would be another incomplete pass, so that sets up 3rd and 19 here. A long ways to go for A West, and so they got to get something. Here's what happens on 3rd and 19. Swanson throws the hitch to Santana Pena, hoping that she would get some yards here after the catch, but Braylon Looney is right there and stops her for a very minimal gain. It's only 4th and 17. She only got 2 yards or so on that play. And so here we go. An important 4th down situation for Arvada West to stay alive. They really need to score here. And so here's what happens. 4th and 17. Sailor Swanson gets a snap. She ends up rolling left here. Rolling right, I should say. Almost goes out of bounds, but throws a dot to Sarah Walker here on the run. Just a beautiful throw on the money to make it 19-13 at the 6:45 mark here as A West comes alive just a little bit, pulling within 1 score on just an amazing play. It looked like Sailor Swanson would get sacked here, but she ends up getting the ball off, and not only does she get the ball off, but she throws it on the money in time, in rhythm, to make it a 1-score game. Now the PAT unfortunately is incomplete as the pressure does get there to Swanson just a little bit, and so Mountain Vista takes over with still, no need to panic obviously, but they take over with about 6:45 left here, 19-13, still with the lead. Now here we go. Ariana Aki with the chance to go ahead and put the nail in the dagger, gets the snap and throws it, but it looks like there has to be some sort of miscommunication as she throws it pretty much directly to Aubrey Cespedes here, the junior DB for Arvada West, as she makes a very easy interception and almost returns it, but is just stopped here. So now it's a 1st and 17 in the red zone for Arvada West as they have all the momentum. Just a tough play by Mountain Vista there, as there definitely had to have been some sort of miscommunication. And so here we go. 1st down for A West, looking to potentially tie this game up. Here's what happens. Swanson throws a slant to Alyssa Alberts. She makes it 2nd and 9, getting some good yards there. Following that, Swanson throws the quick throw to Molly Shellpepper. It's a curl here for really only 2 yards before a flag is pulled, and so that brings up 3rd and 7. On 3rd down, Sailor gets the snap and throws a very dangerous pass over the middle, almost intercepted by Mountain Vista, but unfortunately for Mountain Vista, that is dropped. Fortunately for Arvada West, they get a 4th down situation, and here's what happens. Sailor Swanson gets a snap. She is under pressure, though, and throws it to a shorter route, very short of the end zone, and they are stopped, and that is a turnover on downs. A tough situation to come out of with no points for Arvada West. For Mountain Vista, though, they're in a good spot, up by a score with 4:32 left. Still, though, if you're them, you want to get a score or potentially use up the clock, one or the other. And so here's what happens. Ariana Aki gets a snap, checks it down to Braylon Looney. She makes it 2nd and 12. Following that, Ariana Aki gets a snap, is looking, and then decides to take off down the left sideline, and she is going. It is a foot race. She's about to score, but it looks like number 7 of Arvada West, Harper Tillman, is able to track her down and stop a potential dagger and touchdown. But unfortunately, it is 1st and 9 past midfield here. I believe they're in the red zone, actually, 1st and 9. And so here is what happens. On 1st down and 9, A West needs to stop. Ariana Aki gets a snap. She's looking, and she has to backpedal. Eventually, she is forced to throw it off her back foot. But it is deep to number 1 of Mountain Vista. That is Riley Rivera, who goes ahead and wins on the corner route and brings in a nice touchdown to make it 25-13, as that would almost be the dagger for A West. Just a great play, 2 great plays in a row by Ariana Aki to make up for that interception, and not only that, but put Mountain Vista in a spot to knock off the defending champs here as they take a 25-13 lead. PAT would be no good, but A West has all the momentum with about 3 minutes left for Arvada West. And so here's what happens. A West, they get the ball. Swanson takes a shot down the left sideline and finds Santana Pena for a huge gain here. It would make it 1st and 1 near midfield. Following that, Swanson checks it down back to number 1 of A West. That would be Katie Hufford here, who would give them the first down past midfield just barely, and so it's 1st and 20. On first down, there's a drop. On second down, Braylon Looney closes on the out route and gets a hand on this throw here. Just a great play by her. That forces an incompletion. Now it's 3rd down. On 3rd down, Swanson, she's forced to check it down to Alexis Mays, who spins and tries to get some more yards, but really doesn't get too much here. So now it's 4th down. Basically 4th down and 20, and Sailor Swanson goes deep trying to get this first down, but Mountain Vista's safety, number 20, Caitlin Jenkins, gets the interception and closes this game here. Mountain Vista would run out the rest of this clock as they get a big-time win in their 2024 season debut over the defending champs, winning 25-13. In my opinion, player of the game is pretty obvious. It has to be Ariana Aki, as she just played great football here. Outside of that one interception, which she eventually made up for, I mean, she was a huge reason why Mountain Vista was able to win, using both her arm and legs, just making great plays through both and upsetting the defending state champs. So she absolutely has to be player of the game. Also, I believe she played a little bit of corner as well, and this Mountain Vista defense was very solid despite not rushing anybody at times this game. So gotta give them a whole ton of props there. Now, for Arvada West, unfortunately, they had their opportunities. They had a chance to go ahead and tie the game at the very least, if not potentially take the lead here, but unfortunately they were not able to score there. On top of that, I mean, they weren't able to score on their last offensive drive as well. That ended up being an interception by Caitlin Jenkins of Mountain Vista. And, I mean, if they scored fast enough, there might have been a chance that they used timeouts and stopped the clock, but it would have been pretty slim regardless. So, a tough loss for Arvada West, a great win for Mountain Vista.
Hey, everybody, it is Kodey Stauffer with the Playmakers Corner podcast here to talk about some girls' flag football action from this past weekend on August 17th, where I saw the very last game of this kind of round robin, if you would, between Mountain Vista and Pomona. And I want to go ahead and just jump right into it here and talk about that action. So, Mountain Vista is going to start this game with the ball, and through a combination of short passes and some solid QB scrambles, they drive right down the field here, but the Panthers' defense and a penalty take away an opportunity to score. With Pomona's back against the wall, number 20, Melissa Ruskowski here, gets a drive-ending sack with Mountain Vista in a great opportunity here and forces a turnover on downs. Pomona themselves now with the ball here starts off with a quick completion and then a scramble by Jay Cordova that Vista keeps in front of them before Cordova connects with number 14 down the field for the first down past midfield. Cordova is going to come right back to 14, who's Emily Abeda here on the very next big throw that gets a first down into the red zone. The Eagles, however, tighten up a little bit here, forcing incompletions, and then on 3rd down, number 15, Isabel Viant here makes a huge flagpole to save a touchdown for the Golden Eagles here. And on 4th down, the Eagles force a turnover on downs to start the drive in their own territory. So 2 huge stops with their backs against the wall to start this game by these teams' defenses here. Vista gets some breathing room here when Addison Devlin, number 2, catches a check down and accelerates right for a first down. A couple of checkdowns helps Ariana Aki, number 8, the QB, get into rhythm here, hitting a fast throw to senior Riley Rivera for a first down past midfield. Aki gets a little lucky on the next throw when she rolls right and winds up deep with 2 Panthers back by her receiver. They knock the ball down, and that basically brings us to the next quarter, 0-0. After a short scramble, Aki makes an incredible throw just in time to Rivera for a huge game, but not huge enough as it will be a turnover on downs. Pomona on this next drive looks very out of sync. It's marred by incompletions and a penalty, with Kaylee Besh of Mountain Vista finalizing the end of this drive with an interception of her own, putting Vista in plus territory here. Now, for Vista's offense, Aki's athleticism is on full display on this next drive, as on play 1, she bobs and weaves downfield. She shrugs off an incompletion to throw a kind of scary and wobbly throw that flutters out of her hands and is deflected by a defender right into Rivera's hands, who extends, getting to the 1-yard line. What follows will be one of the hardest plays to stop in Colorado flag, with Aki finding Braylon Looney on a quick snap and throw for the score. The PAT is no good, as a strong flagpole keeps the keeper from succeeding here. However, that is still a 6-0 lead for Vista here in the second quarter. Pomona would narrowly pick up a first down on their own trip here with a completion to start their drive before multiple incompletions would lead to a punt. Mountain Vista comes out and tries a jet sweep pass off rip, but then they settle down here and start completing for some good chunks, including a pass to number 1 over the middle and number 3, Liana Rivera. The Riveras are flowing with receptions on this drive to get them going downfield. Looney gets a catch going left. They then run a fake jet sweep and then throw it to number 12 after the fake for a nice play and gain. Pomona steps up for a few plays to force 4th and short, where Looney makes a major catch for a first down to keep the drive alive. Aki rolls right and finds Liana Rivera on a toe tap reception on the right sideline to get inside the 5-yard line. Riley Rivera then takes her turn, going on to catch and extend for the score, and then the conversion to Serena Waiter, who is that number 12 receiver, makes it 14-0 on a 2-point attempt with under a minute to go until halftime, where Pomona just bleeds out the clock to get into the next half. So at halftime here, Mountain Vista leading 14-0 here. To start the second half here, Pomona does have the ball, and Laurel Elliott, number 16, catches a crossing route and gets upfield quick from right to left for a first down and plenty more. The Panthers end up taking a shot on third down that is contested and batted away by Caitlin Jenkins of the Golden Eagles here. And on fourth down, Pomona is going to go for it, with Cordova rifling in a quick pass over the middle that is hauled in by Timberly Martinez here for a first down to keep the drive alive. The drive would be abruptly ended, however, as Cordova rolls left and tries to squeeze it into number 10, but number 9 of Mountain Vista, Kiana Gallo here, I want to say, or Gallo, jumps the pass and intercepts the ball here. On this drive, the Eagles now have number 2 in at quarterback, who, if you recall from a few drives earlier, is Addison Devlin here. And it looks like they're kind of going into cruise mode. She shrugs off an incompletion and a short throw to rip off a 30-plus yard touchdown run, putting Mountain Vista up 20-0 with 7.5 minutes to go in the third here. Pomona, they unfortunately stall out and have to punt on this next drive. And the Golden Eagles get a punt return that gets past midfield. So they're already past midfield after scoring a touchdown on their last drive. They're trying to probably score one more time and put this game away here. And honestly, they make a big splash play early on this drive, calling a jet sweep pass, completing this one deep right to Liana Rivera here. But Pomona pushes back because freshman Addie Graves gets to the quarterback, and immediately after that, number 1, Alora Martinez gets a flagpole for loss as well. So they force Mountain Vista into a deep pit after giving up a very big play to start this drive here. And Mountain Vista, needing a ton of yards after back-to-back big losses, gets desperate and chucks one down their right sideline that is going to be intercepted by number 14, Emily Abeda here for Pomona. And she gets a decent return on the pick here. This is Pomona's chance to probably make a big score and try and get back in this game. Unfortunately, they go 3 and out, and that's when this game is essentially over here. Mountain Vista would put in another quarterback, Emily Wilms, who chains together a few completions just to flex their depth, and this team would go on to score one more time, making it 26-0 and leaving Mountain Vista undefeated on the day. Now, just some takeaways from this game. For Mountain Vista, I just thought this team is deep and they know what they're doing. Having Ariana Aki and Addison Devlin as 2 shifty athletes who can throw makes them very dangerous, and their playbook massive. Wilms is a great third option who could probably be number 1 at a lot of other schools, and the height of this team is dangerous. especially the Riveras, who could be serious downfield threats this season and impressed me in this watching. Defensively, I felt like Kiana Gallo. Sorry, Kiana. Feel free to reach out to us and let us know how to say that. That's number 9 for the Mountain Vista defense, was on almost every single flagpole and had that opportune interception and is going to make even more plays as the season goes on. Kaylee Besh is a fantastic corner. That's number 14, who can cover the whole field. You also have Caitlin Jenkins, who at safety provides an awesome emergency valve on downfield throws with her awesome contestability and surefire flag pulling. And these were all players who I didn't really know of before stepping into this, with the likes of Braylon Looney being, one of their best utility players and was somebody who they didn't really have to use a whole lot, at least in that Pomona game. And so with all of this depth and a bunch of other athletes who I think are going to continue to develop, this makes them a very serious contender for state. I mean, they took down A West for the Wildcats' first regular season loss, I think, in program history. And they took down Pomona in one day for an eye-opening start to the season. Watch out for the Golden Eagles in the flag scene. Now for Pomona, not the best day ever, but you have some promising athletes here and some decent flag pullers on the second level. I think that they look poised to make some noise with their fast start. I thought that they might jump out to a quick lead, and then having the rest on their side that Vista didn't have, I thought that they were coming out aggressive, but they didn't really keep their foot on the gas. And I don't think that they're just 100% not as tall or as riddled with athletes. They'll have to lean on a few playmakers this year, like a Cordova and like an Emily Abeda, and then they're going to have to play some very strict defense and have some of these younger players step up as well. I'm looking at Addie Graves, who as a freshman should probably be getting a lot more snaps as the season goes along and hoping to make an impact. So that's my takeaway from the Pomona versus Mountain Vista game that took place on August 17th. We're super excited for a very exciting season of girls flag football here. And I have been your host for this segment, Kodey Stauffer, signing off following the 26-0 W for Mountain Vista over Pomona.
All right, now up next, we're going to talk about some of the other Week 0 games that were going on either at the same time or elsewhere or on other days. Just for future reference so that you, the listeners, know, we're going to classify each week from Wednesday to Wednesday there. So if there are any games that are happening on the Wednesday that this episode releases, we're going to cover that on the next episode. All right, so let's go ahead and hop into it here on Saturday, August 17th. You have a couple nice games here that went on at the same time, including the very first game, official first game of the Colorado Girls High School Flag Football season. This was actually the first ever CHSSA sanctioned game played at 5 Star Stadium. We had North Glen versus Thornton, and this one would start with senior North Glen quarterback Sydney Reese finding Evelyn James for the first ever touchdown in this new era here. James here, and excuse me if I'm saying that wrong, it might be Jameis, and feel free to message us and correct us. We would appreciate that, kindly that is. But either way, Evelyn James is a sophomore, Sydney Reese a senior quarterback for North Glen. North Glen would end up taking this one pretty easily, 46-12. They did put in stats as well, and so other teams, if you're listening out there, make sure you put in stats so we could talk about your team more here. But Cindy Reese, she threw for 20 of 30 for 158 yards, 6 touchdowns to 2 picks, but also ran for 66 yards and a touchdown. On defense, though, she grabbed 2 interceptions and had 3 tackles. Now, for the rest of this North Glen squad, they had, I want to say this is either Quepper or Cupper Trinkle, the senior wide receiver. She led for North Glen with 9 receptions for 91 yards and 3 touchdowns. The hat trick there. She also had a pick and 3 tackles on defense. For Evelyn James, the sophomore who caught the first ever touchdown, she had 7 receptions for 50 yards and that touchdown. On defense, had 4 interceptions. Crazy, mind you, and 3 tackles. Caitlin McClurg had 3 receptions for 14 yards, and all of those went for touchdowns. As you could tell, she did play center, so there you go. There are a lot of short passes there. And this is worth noting, but North Glen had 8 picks this game, so a very dominant showing for them to start the season. Now, later on that Saturday, obviously we had the games that happened that we were able to attend, but right after the last game ended, Regis Jesuit and Grandview kicked off, and it was a pretty close game. It looks like Regis Jesuit would end up beating Grandview 6-0 here in the fourth quarter. Senior quarterback Nala Barnes found fellow senior Catherine Uri for a touchdown to go ahead and break the dry spell there and put them on the board. That one touchdown would be the difference as Regis takes it over Grandview. Regis also put in stats, which I'm going to go ahead and say right now here. Barnes, she went 17 of 30 for 131 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick, had 5 carries for 39 yards. Catherine Uri, 3 receptions, 60 yards, and a touchdown. Also had a tackle and a pick on defense. Caitlin Bueller, I want to say. She's a freshman who had 4 receptions for 42 yards. Ariel Sandoval Reed, who did make our watch list, by the way, had 2 tackles and a pick. And then Jasmine Lugo, a freshman here, had 5 tackles and a sack in this game. A very close game, but Regis Jesuit coming out on top. And then on Monday, that would be August 19th, I want to say. Yep, August 19th. Grandview would play Legacy, and Grandview would get a pretty solid win here, 19-6 over Legacy. As of right now, August 20th, stats aren't put in, so that is all I have for now. So there you go there, but that'll pretty much wrap up this segment. Not too many games outside of the ones that we went to, and then these other 3 as well. And you know what? I am making an edit right here. There's one game I almost missed, which was played yesterday, August 19th, between Elizabeth and Ponderosa, and I have just found it, so I'm going to talk about it here. Pretty much a very close game. Stats aren't completely pulled in, but I'm able to see when they scored. It looks like Elizabeth scored in the second quarter, but wouldn't complete the PAT. Ponderosa would score in the fourth quarter, and they would get the PAT. And so Ponderosa takes down Elizabeth 7-6 in a big-time game there. I believe this was a 4A matchup, or at least Elizabeth is a 4A team. So a good game for them. Ponderosa has a couple stats put in, so I'll talk about it. Brianna Sikora, their senior lead tackler in this game, had 7 tackles. Pacey Thompson, Jr. had a sack. It looks like Cameron Smith, Senior, had 2 interceptions and 6 pass deflections. Jeez, great football there. And then it looks like number 4 for them, Mackenzie Rankin, had an interception and a pass deflection in this one. Like I said, a very defensive-heavy game there. And then it looks like, if I am not mistaken here, it looks like that Reese Bolifer was the one that would score for them to go ahead and put them up 1. So there you go there. Ponderosa taking down Elizabeth 7-6. Oh, and it looks like Ponderosa has selected Cameron Smith as their player of the game. She's the one with 2 interceptions and 6 pass deflections. So there you go there. Now let's go ahead and talk about Playmaker of the Week. There could only be one, but there are a couple different great candidates that we had in mind. One of them being Sarah Walker of Arvada West. She had a great weekend. Despite them going 1-1, she caught a lot of touchdowns. I want to say she had 2 in that legend game, and then she had a couple pretty clutch catches, as well as playing very good defense for that squad over there, which is to be expected, but still a Playmaker of the Week candidate regardless. We also have Mountain Vista's quarterback, Ariana Aki, who had a great debut here, just absolutely tearing it up out there against 2 very good teams in Arvada West and Pomona, so she's definitely a candidate. And then last but definitely not least, we have Sydney Reese of North Glen, who threw 6 touchdowns and also ran for 1, as well as grabbing 2 picks on defense in that blowout win. But like I said, there could only be one, and so your Week 0 Colorado Girls High School Flag Football Playmaker of the Week is Mountain Vista's Ariana Akey. I feel like that was a pretty unanimous one when talking to the other guys here about who should win this first one, and she balled out. I mean, using both her legs, running the ball and scrambling at a lethal level, and throwing the ball. She made some great throws as well. She did her thing, and Mountain Vista is sitting at 2-0, and if honestly we had power rankings, they would probably be close to the top, if not at number 1. So gotta give her a lot of credit. So there you go. There, your Week 0 Colorado Girls High School Flag Football Playmaker of the Week is Mountain Vista's junior quarterback, Ariana Akey. Alright, now we are going to talk, or I'm going to talk about some takeaways. Gino segment and his takeaways from Week 0 will be right after this. Since we don't have power rankings, this is what we're going to do for now. Next week, we're going to rank teams, and we'll have our reasoning behind that. And that'll kind of be our takeaways from those weeks, as it'll give y'all a pulse on what we are feeling going from week to week for Colorado Girls High School Flag Football. And so to start here, I mean, I'm going to just go ahead and preface this and say that I'm going to mostly talk about teams that I saw in person this last weekend. But I do want to say Regis Jesuit gritting out a tough one against Grandview. While that is a good dub, I do think that does say a lot about Grandview, as they were able to keep it close. They were able to beat Legacy, which is definitely big time there. I also want to say Ponderosa beating Elizabeth was pretty big. Definitely, I mean, I don't know, maybe not super concerned about the offense, but defensively, it looked like that they will be fine. And offensively, hopefully looking to get going a little bit easier here in the coming games. So there you go there. Not too many about some of those other squads, but let me go ahead and talk about the 4 teams that we got to watch. Let's start with Legend. So this is a team that I got to watch last year. I also got to watch them play in the Summer League, and you know, I kind of feel like they fulfilled everything that I expected out of them. I knew they would be a good defensive team, and actually after watching them, they might be the top defense, one of the top defenses, if not the top defense in all of Colorado Girls High School Flag Football. They got a lot of great athletes who are tall as well, that provide a lot of issues, especially in the red zone, and just very well coached. They're going to give you a couple different looks. I know they played Arvada West and they allowed 30, but you know, I felt like that defense really showed Sailor Swanson a lot of different looks and put the pressure on her. I will say though, it is a little concerning about this offense. While they still have athletes over there, I do think the play calling needs to be tweaked in some way. You can't be as reliant on the run, especially against these contenders here. You know, you gotta do a little bit more passing wise, so hopefully that changes, but we'll just have to see what happens. Other than that, I really liked how they played on defense. Offensively, they're gonna need to tune some things in and get it together over there, as I think they can be a very high scoring offense, but I do think as of right now, Legend's strength lies in their defense, and that's definitely something you could win a lot of games with and potentially go on a deep run with. So we'll just have to see how they respond moving forward. Now, jumping down a classification, let's talk about Pomona here. Pomona is a team that I think will be the favorite to win state in 4A, and even though they went 0-2, granted against 5A competition, I still think that is true. You know, first things first, they don't have the most amount of players, but they are very well coached. I like their quarterback, Jay Cordova, a lot. I think she has a lot of potential, and I like a lot of the athletes they have around her as well. This is a team that could still make a run. Defensively, I wasn't mad at some of the looks they gave opposing offenses, but I do think the lack of depth, and I would probably say the exhaustion, having playing 2 games near like the peak of the day, where it was definitely close to 100 degrees, took a toll on this squad as the day went on. But I'm not nervous about them at all. I like what they're doing on offense. I like what they're doing on defense. I think they're going to play in 4A, and they're going to dominate a lot of teams who are just not as experienced experienced and don't have the type of coaching that they do over there. I think they'll do a pretty good job. I'd be surprised if they didn't. And so we'll have to see what happens moving forward, but I'm definitely not panicking about Pomona at all. There were a lot of flashes that I really like. It's just a matter of time before they put it all together and start playing full games here and are firing on all cylinders. So we'll see what happens there. But I'm not freaking out. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm really chill about Pomona. I'm still very high on them. So we'll just see what happens. Now, another team I'm high on is Arvada West here. Unfortunately, they did lose to Mountain Vista, and this is the first regular season loss they've ever taken. The last 2 years, they've had one loss, and it was to Chatfield at State that very first year. And so for them to lose this one was definitely shocking. But, Mountain Vista had a great game plan, and at the end of the day, Arvada West had chances. They had a chance to tie the game and maybe even take the lead. They had a chance to cut it to one score again and potentially put themselves in a position to win that game. So the chances were there in the fourth. It just came down to a couple plays, right? And it happens. It's week 0. I'm not tripping over it yet. I think they have enough seniority and seniors over there where they could figure it out. They have a lot of experience, so I'm really not too worried about them. I do love what they are bringing to the table with their offense. I think they could score pretty much at any time when really dialed in. I don't think they were exactly as dialed in as they wanted to be this last weekend, and that should definitely be dangerous for a lot of teams, but it also shows that they're human as well. So we'll hopefully see them continue to improve. Defensively, I think they could get better. They do have some younger players out there. I'm biased, but I really like the game of Harper Tillman. I think she's a great athlete. I know her family, know her brothers who are great football players. She's a great football player. The talent is for sure there, but she is lacking in experience, being one of the only other freshmen, really one of the only freshmen in the state on a non-first year program to start for this team. So that's definitely promising. Emerson Drake was also out there as well, I believe another freshman, and she did well. And so you do got to get a couple of these underclassmen going, especially at the beginning of the season. For their more experienced players, I'm just not as worried. I think they're going to figure it out as it goes on, and it's one loss to a very good Mountain Vista team. So as of right now, I'm just not worried about Arvada West. I'm not really worried about too many teams after this first week, I will say. So there you go. Definitely some things to work with, and at the end of the day, they're still the defending state champions. They're not done until you eliminate them from the playoffs. Don't get that twisted. Alright, moving on. We got Mountain Vista. This team looked very good. Great showing against Arvada West. There was a little bit of a worry with that interception thrown in the fourth quarter, but the response from their quarterback, Ariana Aki, showed me a lot. I think she's a star in the making. She could be one of the best quarterbacks that this state has really ever seen, up there along with Sailor Swanson, I'd probably say, as far as Colorado girls high school flag football goes. So super excited about her future. She's an excellent dual threat, extremely dangerous on the ground. I know she's going to tear apart some teams just running the football. But on top of that, she has great arm talent, throws missiles out there, and she could really do it all. And she was hot this last weekend, so super excited about her. And on top of that, Mountain Vista has some weapons for them. Let me make sure that I am able to name them all off. Riley Rivera, a senior wide receiver, was great. Liana Rivera, another senior wide receiver, was great. Both of them made some big-time plays, like, in the games that they played. Obviously, you have Addison Devlin and Emily Wilms who are in there as well. Wilms, a senior, Devlin, a junior. Both of them could also play quarterback. And you did see some of them get snaps at the end of that Pomona game. And I think that's important to keep in mind because while those two could also play quarterback, they are currently playing skill positions on offense. And so if Mountain Vista really wanted to, they could put a lot of teams in a bind running 2 or maybe even 3 quarterback type systems here, depending on how complicated they want to make things. Obviously, I think Aki is the starter, but when you have other athletic quarterbacks like an Addison Devlin, like an Emily Wilms, it definitely provides some stress for opposing defensive coordinators knowing what they can do to you. On top of that, you have other great athletes like Braylon Looney, who's only a junior. I'm going to be honest with you. I think they're definitely hiding her, but I'm just going to throw it out there. If you don't know the name Braylon Looney, then you do not know Colorado football. She is a stud, a star. She's going to go off for 200 yards eventually this season. I'm pretty positive about that because someone is not going to do their homework. I'm just going to be real. So there you go. Serena Ryder, excuse me if I'm saying that wrong. Emily Savensky made some great plays on both sides of the football. I want to say Caitlin Jenkins, number 20, their junior safety, really impressed those of us that were there watching the game. I think she could be big time, super underrated for that squad, but definitely somebody that you do not want to test. This is a loaded roster, varsity roster that is, for Mountain Vista. Do not be surprised if they make a run and go to state. Just going to throw that out there right now. If everyone's healthy, knocking on wood, then I think they're easily going to go to state. They brought a lot of energy this weekend. They looked good on both sides of the ball. I don't have too many worries about them at this point, like legitimate worries. I think it is a little, I will say this, it's a little strange that they don't rush all the time. Sometimes they're just really good or really okay. I wouldn't say really good, but very comfortable with just giving the quarterback a lot of time. It's not necessarily how I would play it, but, you know, it is what it is. They got 2 wins this last weekend. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? They're going to show you a couple different looks, though, regardless, and they're not going to not rush at all. Just important to keep in mind. So loving it from them. If I really had to choose, they would definitely be a strong contender for number 1 in the state. But we have another week of games. We'll see what happens moving forward.
What is up, y'all? Gino here with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I am back here on this episode with some final thoughts on the first week of women's flag football and the teams that we had the pleasure of watching. I'm going to be talking about what I like about each team, some strengths, some weaknesses, and just my overall thoughts and outlook on their season as a whole. Starting off here, we got Mountain Vista. And honestly, I gotta say, I think the Golden Eagles could potentially be the best team in the state. They just have playmakers all over the field on both sides of the ball. Offensively, they are extremely dynamic with the junior QB, Ariana Key, at the helm of that offense. Her dual threat ability opens up a lot of things for the Golden Eagles offensively. Her combination of pure speed and agility to go with a rocket for an arm makes her a very interesting prospect that should be on a lot of college teams' radars here soon as the season progresses. She had tons of wow throws and runs in both of the games that they played, and then on defense as well, she has the potential to be an all-PMC cornerback on top of that. She is just a straight-up highlight machine. And then you throw in the fact that Ariana Key has probably the best center in the entire state to throw to in Braylon Looney. Looney was a member of the Team USA select team alongside a couple other players that played this past weekend. She has all PMC written all over her for her impact on defense and on offense as well. And then on defense here, she is a rusher and linebacker. I was questioning the Golden Eagles' defensive strategy a bit since they were hardly sending any rushers in the first half of the Arvada West game, but it ended up working out great here as they held the reigning state champs to only 13 points, and then they also held a Final Four team from last year to 0 points. They rotated a few different rushers, and I ultimately think their softer/trickier approach on defense is what threw off both teams they played on Saturday. Lastly, here for Mountain Vista, I got to talk about the 2 receivers and defensive backs, Riley Rivera and Liana Rivera. They are very reliable targets for Ariana Akey to look for on offense. Both players have shown the ability to make excellent receivers in the red zone and on deep throws. They both play with a competitive edge that any potentially contending team needs to have. And you throw in the fact that they are also very solid in the secondary as well. And that, folks, is my thoughts on Mountain Vista after that first week here. Moving on now, we got Arvada West. This is the reigning state champs, Arvada West. Sarah Walker and Sailor Swanson absolutely came to play on Saturday. Swanson with 4 touchdowns in the first game and 6 total on the day, while Walker had 3 touchdowns of her own, plus numerous other big-time catches throughout the day. Those two clearly have not lost a step at all, as they still look to be the top duo in the entire state. You also have Katie Huford and Santana Pena as speedy options to throw to when Walker isn't open. On defense, they looked great in the Legend game. They were sending a consistent rush that definitely made the Legend offense uncomfortable. I don't think I remember Legend even making it into the red zone that entire first game because that Arvada West defense was just going to work. Sarah Walker was doing what she does best as a ball-hawking linebacker, and then you also had the freshman defensive back Harper Tillman make some great plays in both games, including an interception in her first career high school start, which is just amazing. The defense definitely got shocked a bit, though, in the Mountain Vista game for their first regular season loss in team history, as they really seemed to struggle keeping Mountain West from getting big plays all game. I'm not sure if it was the speed of the QB on Mountain Vista or that they were just executing on a completely different level, but the fact of the matter is that Arvada West got straight up outplayed on both sides of the ball in that game. Keep in mind, though, the mastermind and head coach, Coach Rio, was not there for these games, so that absolutely could have played a factor in their loss to Mountain Vista. I'm not going to dock them too many points for that loss because, like I said, they've still got the best offensive duo in the state and a stacked coaching staff. Ultimately, though, Arvada West will be more than fine. But if anything, that loss just shows us that the 5A state championship this year is still wide open to any team. Next here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the Legend Titans. Now, defensively here, this is one of the top units in the state. You got Jocelyn Huntsman, whose name was getting called all day as she made numerous big-time plays as a rusher. I don't think there was any rusher on Saturday that made as big of an impact as Huntsman did. You also have a potential all-PMC safety in the sophomore Rhea Matouche, who is the leader of that secondary. You also got Molly Larson and Janine Norton, who were another pair of playmakers at the front of that stout defense, making big plays all game and all day in general. Legend's ability to switch up rushers and show different looks is what makes them such a lethal unit. Offensively, though, that is where I am a little concerned here for the Titans. Maddie Smolin has the athleticism to be a good QB, and then Reese Agnew and Ava Gavi are two very good targets to have who just have a very good chemistry, it seems like. But ultimately, I think the play calling was just too soft this past weekend. The only plays that seemed to work somewhat consistently was the hook and ladder to Reese Agnew and the short passes over the middle to Ashley Howelberg and Ava Gavi. Everything else kind of fell flat, which is evident by the fact that they only scored 7 points in both games combined. They are a more talented unit than what the score is showing, so hopefully they can figure something out as the season progresses here. And last but certainly not least, we got to talk about the Pomona Panthers. Pomona had to play 2 top 5 teams in their first games of the season, and they definitely paid the price for that. The Panthers are a very fast and athletic team that should definitely see a lot of success at the 4A level this season, though. Jay Cordova is one of the top dual threats in the state with a solid amount of quick targets to throw to, and they play very aggressive on both sides of the ball at Pomona. I think the 2 biggest weaknesses, though, for the Panthers is 1, their lack of size, and 2, their lack of depth. The lack of size became especially evident when Pomona just could not put the ball in the end zone when they were in the red zone, despite multiple trips there to the red zone throughout the weekend. Cordova just doesn't have a tall target to look for in the red zone, and so she is forced to squeeze the ball in tight pockets and scramble around a lot because of that fact. The lack of depth is also huge because they know that even one injury to a starter could spell absolute trouble here for the Panthers. Ultimately, though, like I said, I think Pomona will do very well this season despite their rocky start against the bigger schools this past weekend, with players like Jay Cordova, Timberly Martinez, Laurel Elliott, and Alora Martinez, just to name a few. I know there's more, but that's just to name a few. The Panthers are easily one of the most talented teams in all of 4A this year. And that, folks, will do it here from me. This is Gino with the Playmakers Corner podcast, and I will catch you all next week for another round of flag football coverage. Peace out.
All right, now that'll do for this episode. Thank you so much for rocking with us. Next week, we'll definitely bring a little bit more here. We'll have a couple more game recaps. We'll do power rankings as well, as we have by then should have watched a lot more teams. We're going to try to go to games as much as we can here. Obviously, myself and Gino are in the southern Colorado, or based out of the southern Colorado area, so we do have to drive up pretty much every time for those metro games. But our Saturdays are open, and so we will be at 2 different locations going on next week. Make sure you follow us at Playmakers Corner on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, whatever, so that you can know where we will be at and say what's up if you're there as well. We'll be posting highlights, by the way, of the games we went to in person. They should be on our TikTok and will be posted on Instagram and hopefully Facebook as well this week. But until then, we will catch you next week.